A very warm welcome to all our viewers. This is Leaders Talk from the CSR Universe. I'm Shweta, the consulting editor, and I'm joined by my editor, Ruchika Kumar. Today, we have the honor of speaking with an individual who has played an integral role in propelling India on the path of becoming the IT powerhouse it is today. We have with us Mr. Shibulal SD, the co-founder of Infosys. But few people know that he has also made a profound social impact in the country as the head of the Shibulal Family Philanthropic Initiatives. Joining him in this conversation is Ms. Khushboo Awasthi, co-founder of Mantra for Change, an organization which is driving systemic public school transformation in collaboration with multiple state departments. Now, when we talk about education, India's education system is one of the largest in the world, with almost 27 crore students enrolled in over 14 lakh schools. More than half of these students are studying in government schools. Therefore, ensuring the delivery of quality education in these government schools is just non-negotiable if we have to make any progress at all. So that is what Shibulalji and Ms. Khushboo are trying to do through a comprehensive movement called Shikshāgraha. Just to give you an idea, in just 12 months, ShikshaGraha has already reached over 10,000 schools, making a positive impact on over 3 million children. These schools were spread across 25 districts in 12 states. So, Shibulal sir and Khushboo, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're looking forward to an enriching discussion. So I'll just begin with the questions now. First of all, what led to the inception of ShikshaGraha? And how is it structured today? I'd just like to know, how did you choose, Shibulal sir, this is, the first question is actually for you. Why is education important to you? And
so our journey in education started 25 years back in 1999 when we established the Shibulal Family Philanthropic Initiative. We have done a number of interventions in the education field. In 1999, we started out with a scholarship program, which has matured quite a lot over the last 25 years. In the first 10 to 12 years, our focus was what I would call individual empowerment. That means taking students and making sure that they go through the education system and come out successful on the other end, becoming productive citizens. That was our focus for the first 12 years. By 2012, we clearly realized that, majority of our students are in government schools. And it's a very complex, diverse system. And it was very clear to us that that system requires transformation. So 2012 onwards, we started looking at opportunities for working towards transforming the system. So once we started on that journey, from my own learnings from my life as well as from Infosys, I came to the conclusion that any complex system which requires transformation needs strong leadership. So 2012 onwards, we started working on ideas about how to build capacity of leadership in education, especially in the government schools. That led us to creating ShikshaLokam in 2017. And 2017 onwards, ShikshaLokam has been working on education leadership. Over the years, they have made education leadership as a central theme in the conversation in education. And soon we realized that technology is a must. If you want, and our approach was to build capacity in leadership at a sustainable scale. So we clearly realized that technology is a must to do it. So we started building digital public goods. We came up with the idea of micro improvements, which became another digital public good. For example, in the last couple of years, under the Diksha platform, we have achieved approximately 6.7 lakh micro improvements in government schools. And again, we were, faced with the scale and complexity of this problem. That is what led us to doing creating collective action. We realized that as a single organization, our ability is limited, our reach is limited. That is number one. Number two, another big problem is our government school system is a very diverse system. So there is no one solution which fits all, which means solutions have to be created locally, contextually, which means we need local partnerships. So we started working towards building collectives, creating collectives in various states who will work together, have a common purpose, that is creating transformation in the government education system, building capacity of leadership, creating micro improvements, and using technology, right? So the collective action became a central piece of our philosophy. Now the next level of scaling up, next level of increasing the reach is through creating a movement. By building a movement, we are bringing all the stakeholders into the process, whether it is Samaj, Sarkar, or Prasar. All three parties are part of the movement. A movement is a people's movement. It is a grassroots effort. It is something which is absolutely scalable. It is based on a common purpose. It is all the parties involved in this movement are focused on creating school transformation through which finally the child who is going through the education is getting quality education. So that is how we launched Shikshāgraha about a year back.
Okay. Khushboo, would you take us through Shikshāgraha? How is it structured today? Who all are involved in the movement, and how are you progressing?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Shweta. Like Shibu sir was just describing, how our tryst with or our belief in the collective action has kind of evolved and matured over the last 5 years. And we have already been working on these, shaping these collectives across different states like Punjab, Bihar, Telangana, Karnataka. And then we said, hey, we don't have luxury of time. We can't keep going these state by state. If we have understood the recipe, if we understand how partners can come together, how like-minded organizations and institutions can come together to drive bigger change, why not do it pan-India? So that was the genesis of ShikshaGraha, and obviously the partner and the partner network that we have built over the last 5 years, all of them were part of it. We have been working with government institutions both at the federal level in the central ministry as well as across different states, Department of School Education. So when we discussed the idea of ShikshaGraha with them, they also came on board. And then the real question for us was who else? Who else is present in our network that maybe we have not been partnering with, we have not been actively engaging with? And that's where our team started looking at the canvas with a bird's eye view, more widely. And then we realized, hey, there are these self-help group of women, right, who have been working on livelihood as a focus area for so long, for decades. There are these youth, college-going youth who have so much energy, who have so much passion about doing change, driving change efforts for their community. How do we tap into that energy base? And hence, how we organized ourselves is as a movement, we started defining separate missions that will talk to each other. So one was, we said, can we take, because decentralization is a big principle, is a huge driving factor of how we are shaping things in ShikshaGraha. We said, can district be that unit of change? And hence, how can Samaj, Sarkar and Bazaar come together at a district level to drive need-based program? So that's more like a systemic leadership development and systemic education transformation program at the district level, supported by the state and guided by the center's policies. Then second, we said, can we do a youth leadership collective under ShikshaGraha, where all the college-going youth, as part of the National Service Scheme, the NSS program, which is again a national program, how can they start focusing on public education system and the role that they can play in driving these micro improvements as part of some awareness effort or some tiny change-making efforts or in creating role models for the children in the government school in the community. So that's where we are engaging currently with the volunteers in Pondicherry and Telangana. And the aim is that by 2025, we will go to 6 more states with NSS.
Okay.
The third major mission that has started shaping now is with the women. Because we realize the women federations as part of these self-help groups, whether you call it Seva or you see it the Mahila Samakhya movement of the past, these are women with the agency. These are women present in the villages. So we are now working with them to see how do we take the idea of that public schools should improve, and second, that communities should demand for public education, high quality public education. So that's something that we are working with these women on, to say how do we organize these Shiksha Chaupas at the village level, where they are talking about what are the barriers to quality education, why are their girls not able to go to school, why is there attendance issue. So, actually listening to the voice of the community and then building that bridge where we can take those messages back to the system and the department officials. So like this, Shweta, there are multiple missions that are emerging, and we are very glad that so many unusual allies have actually started featuring on our network, and they're very, very excitedly participating in ShikshaGraha.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm so glad that you're also involving the women self-help groups in your movement. I mean, that would be, doubly empowering for the groups as well. Now, coming back to education, there are many organizations. Education is still the biggest domain in the development sector. And there are so many organizations, so many initiatives that are going on. So what are the factors you feel that differentiate your work from other larger initiatives that are going on? Or maybe I'd say that what are your biggest strengths you feel?
So I think number one, we are very focused on systemic transformation through capacity building and leadership. We see leadership as a catalyst who will drive the change. Because we are very clear that the system is very complex, very diverse. You need contextual solutions. All that is very clear to all of us. And we are also clear that transformation is required. So we are using leadership as the catalyst for creating and driving that change. That's number one. The idea of micro improvements. See, our leaders are very, very, very busy people, and doing complex change is time consuming and investment heavy. Whereas doing micro improvements which are traceable, that is a unique idea which we have. And we also believe that a series of micro improvements actually lead to major improvement.
Yes.
Right? If you do a series of micro improvements, then there is true transformation and there is true major improvement. So that is the second piece. Use of technology. So for example, our micro improvements are logged on Diksha, and we are a co-builder to Diksha. So creating digital public goods which are actually adopted by the Sarkar and being used to track the transformation. I think that is, that is also a very important thing which we believe in. So leadership, micro improvement, use of technology. Then comes the collective action. The idea is that you can build collectives which will work on a common purpose. See, if you look at the work which we do, sometimes I feel that it is like blind people looking at elephant. We all understand there is an issue, but we all look at one piece or other of the puzzle and create our own mental models. And we build purpose around that. Whereas our true purpose is to improve the student outcomes. Right? And if we can actually work together and create, may not be one single purpose, but a number of limited purposes, and then collectively work, I think the power will be, multifold. So we believe that collective action is the way to create sustainable change. Right? So all of these are beliefs which we have built over the last 5 to 6 years, and piloted and tested and has seen results. So for example, when Khushboo talked about women involvement in Bihar, 65,000 women took an oath that they will not pull their girl child out of school.
Wow.
Just imagine that, 65,000 people. Now we can talk about girls' education. We can talk about making sure that girls are in school, but the final authority is the mother.
Yes.
Right? So by doing that collective action and the movement, we have made 65,000 people commit to the fact that they will not pull the girl child out of the school. Even if 50% does it, honor the commitment, it is still phenomenal.
Yes.
Right? So I believe these are all things which we strongly believe in.
This question again is to Ruchika, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something and ask that, given the vast scale of the initiative and you're talking about collective action over here, and we know that there are diverse challenges across regions. So if you could shed some light on the challenges that you have faced while, trying to build this kind of collaboration with all the stakeholders, and also, shed some light on how Shikshagraha is planning to tailor their approach to address unique local issues and problems.
So when you have collective action, one of the big challenges which you face is attribution versus contribution, what I call attribution versus contribution. How do you attribute the credit? Right? I think most of us work on, there has to be on the belief that there has to be some attribution of credit. So it is definitely a mindset change that when you have collective action, the attribution may not be that clear, whereas your contribution is very clear. What you contributed to the collective, what you contributed to the society is very clear. So that is a mindset change which we need to achieve, and we have been able to achieve. So, for example, Khushboo got the Shaw Foundation Award for doing for implementing collective action in Punjab, right? And that has yielded visible results in Punjab, right? So the point I'm trying to make is one of the challenges is this attribution versus contribution mindset change is something which we need to work on. And then alignment of purpose, right? Everyone, I don't think, will come under one single purpose. Everyone will, right? But alignment of purpose is required for us to work collectively. And that also, I believe we are now able to achieve, especially district as a concept, right? District as a unit of change, district as a unit of work, where when we bring together people, I think we are able to. So those are all processes which we need to follow and get done when you build these collectives. Khushboo?
Yes, sir. I think all the points that you covered are very, very important. And if I can also add a little operational lens to it, Rita, I think many of us, especially in the social change space, we are people on a mission. So we are in a hurry. We just want, problems to be solved very quickly. And what that leads to is sometimes we become like control freaks. We really want to control how the program is getting rolled out, who is participating, how are they participating. And collective action is completely antithesis to this, right? Because then at the first level itself, you can align on the problems, on the purpose, like how Shibusar was telling. But you have to come together to co-create the solution. And that co-creation journey cannot be achieved in one day. People have to come together. There has to be space for shared meaning making. That means you have to compromise the speed in the short term to be able to really achieve sustainable and effective impact in the long term. That is one of the challenge that we see when we engage with partners in this, especially in the earlier phases of collaboration. But once they have seen the magic, and now because of our work of the last 5 years, because there's evidence of impact, I think we are able to also tell the story in a better way, show them that, hey, this has worked. So that's something that we have been able to now overcome as a challenge.
Wonderful.
So I would also add that there is a need to make the funding agencies aware of the mechanics of collective action. right? The contribution, how do you look at the contribution? Number one.
Right.
Number two, the impact is long term, right? It is not short term. It takes time. And in any case, any systemic transformation will take time. And the impact is medium term to long term rather than just short term. So I think that also is another challenge which we need to work on.
Right. What I was asking, of course, challenges are there, and you gave a very good picture of how you're actually tackling them. I would now like to know about the ground level picture. So basically, just give us an idea, if Khushboo could give it probably, that what goes on in a school when you take a school under your purview, or when you enter into a district. What are the processes that you follow? How do you go about implementing?
Right. So, Shweta, at a state level and at a district level, there are these educational institutions. For example, at state level, there is something called SCRT, State Council for Education, Research and Training, that usually is responsible for designing the curriculum, setting the priorities for the state, and also then building the capacity of the leaders and the teachers to be able to drive those changes at a systemic level. And because our education system is so well designed, that in district, then there are institutions like the District Education Office and the DIETs, the District Institute for Training, Education Training, which are then further responsible to really handhold the teachers and the leaders in a very deep dive way, so that they can then work on mentoring them to take these change practices into the classrooms. Now, at a district level, as part of ShikshaGraha, what happens, sometimes these diets are undercapacitated, as in the staffs will be limited, or people will have too many things to focus on. So when we talk about the Samaj Sarkar partnership in particular, the NGO leader and the NGO team, the non-profit that is working at the district level, goes and works with the diet, with the district education office, to say, here is what we care for. Here are things that you care for. What are the teachers in the districts telling? So actually do a joint needs assessment, understand the needs of the district, and then based on that, decide your priorities. Once that priority is decided, then they design the program together. So right, the co-creation happens at the district level. And then because DIET anyways has the machinery to take that program to the teachers, the non-profit team, they actually bring those innovative thinking. They bring the new ideas that the DIET team may not have the time to research on. So they bring it together, design the session plans and the workshops together, design those micro improvement solution that Shibu sir was earlier referring to together, and then kind of implement it among the schools. Now, when the school leaders or teachers are actually implementing it, for example, if suppose there's a program on promoting activity-based learning in the classroom. Now, teachers have been trained on that. School leaders have been trained on that. As a school principal, how can you motivate your teachers to try this pedagogy? How do you build awareness among the parents so that they are not questioning when teachers are doing application-based, that, oh, your child's notebook is not filled with notes now. So all this knowledge information has been shared. But when teachers and school leaders are in the act of doing, they again need that support. So that's where the non-profit team and the district administration, the district education team comes together to hold these monthly learning spaces, learning circles, where they discuss the challenges, where they discuss data points. Because Shibu sir talked about how technology is a big enabler, a big component of our program design. When principals, the school heads, they implement these micro improvement projects using technology, the data is getting tracked, right? So now suppose some particular district is not able to lead those improvements, then the officials will not scold them. They will use that data to drive discussions. So what are you struggling with? How can we support you? Here is another school principal who has successfully done it. Can you exchange thoughts and experiences? So it becomes a very nice self-healing, self-supporting ecosystem where everybody is looking at each other for support and also is open to sharing their challenges on why they are not able to implement. So that way, removing that culture of fear and make it more support-based is actually that is happening on the ground level.
Wonderful.
That's great.
you were talking about education leadership. That's a prime component or aspect of the movement. So could you tell a little more about how you go about nurturing this women's leadership, particularly the women's leadership?
So I think building capacity in leadership is one of the big missions of ShikshaLokam and Shikshāgraha. I believe that our leaders are actually quite active people. They're quite busy. I always say that the best way to learn is learning while doing. Right? And as Khushboo said, our whole approach has been to create that process of transforming the system, creating micro improvements, making sure that it is evidence-based. All that happens on a technology platform. And we orchestrate the process whereby the leaders learn new capabilities. They understand how to create these improvements and implement them. So over a period of time, the capacity of the leader continues to increase. But we are not focused only on the school leaders. We are also focused on the surround system leaders, right? There are societal leaders, there are government leaders, there are school leaders, there are parents involved. So our approach is to make sure that the leadership capacity is built all around. Khushboo, would you like to add?
I think you covered it, sir. Just the idea of micro improvement, Shweta. Sometimes change to any of us as human beings, right? The idea of change is so overwhelming. So when we say ultimately a leader is one, how we have defined it is a leader is one who is able to drive these continuous micro improvements in their own context, right? It's a muscle to improve. Every time, can you sense what needs improvement? And then are you able to learn on the go? And then hence improve, actually lead that improvement. It could be as micro as, yesterday I was doing a parent teachers meeting in a certain way where parents did not feel heard, maybe they did not feel respected. Today, when I am planning my parent teachers meeting, can I create a space where parents can also share what is troubling them? No, next month when I'm planning the same parent teachers meeting, can I also make it more participatory where actually I'm inviting parents to do a school's needs assessment along with my school team? Right? So you see how these are all plus one, very simple plus one additions to how things are done. And then as a school principal or as a teacher, I don't feel overwhelmed. Even these women who in Bihar, for example, did these Shiksha Chaupals, women are used to sitting in small groups and discussing. We are saying, can you for change this Dashera, change the topic of your discussion to the education of your daughter and daughter-in-law? And why are they dropping? Right? So you are presenting it in a very doable, viable plus one way where they don't feel overwhelmed and they're like, yeah, ye to kar hi sakte hai. Right? So I think that's what Shibbu sir was also referring to. This whole micro improvement approach has been game changing for us. We see that it is scalable and it's the best way to build leadership in any stakeholder that we are engaging with.
So we also expect the leaders, as Khushboo said, little more structurally, we expect the leaders to sense and make sense of the situation and then act on it and create a positive cycle. So you sense a situation which requires improvement, you make sense of it and come up with an action plan, act on it, and that through that you create a positive cycle.
Okay, sir. Yes, Ruchika.
Shweta, yes, I just wanted to, it's our observation. Like, I think Shweta will also agree with me that we've had these conversations earlier. And we found one challenge in the education sector, or be it any other sector in the development domain, that, there are impactful interventions across this industry, but then they are mostly isolated or done in silos, or the collaboration is, very short term. It's not very long term. So what strategies at your end are you employing to, ensure sustained commitment from all your partners so as to, continue this momentum of the movement?
So Khushboo touched on some of them. I think common purpose is important. Alignment of purpose is very, very important. Co-creation is very important. Right? Co-creating the solution is very important. Then by doing that, everybody is buying into the solution. Transparency is very, very important in any collective, because you need to trust.
Absolutely.
Right? And you need to recognize the contribution. Right? You need to give attribution to the contribution. And then lastly, patience. I think systemic change takes time.
Yes.
It cannot be overnight. Change is hard for human beings, as Khushboo said. So the solution has to be co-created and it has to be implemented. You need to be patient.
We're almost at the, we're actually crossed our time limit, but I just wanted a few quick questions. Could you share any of your biggest success stories, any district where you've really seen a remarkable impact or that is very close to your heart?
Khushboo, please go ahead.
So Shweta, I think our biggest success story, or I think always the first ones are the most precious. We started our work in the state of Punjab in 2019. And that was our first effort at just shaping this collective, bringing organizations together, approaching the government as one collective entity to say, we are going to work with you together. And this whole idea of common prioritization, creating a common plan of action, implementing it, coming back, reflecting, all that, we really kind of shaped those cycles together as a group of organizations and government. And in 2 years of time, Punjab, so we were working on all the systemic parameters and leadership development, like how Shibbu sir also explained, those have been our focus. And the theory of change has always been that if leadership is improved, student outcomes are bound to improve because the organization will start performing better. And this was very evidently shown in our work in Punjab when in 2021, the National Achievement Survey done by Government of India showed that Punjab learning outcomes were above than the national average across all the subject, across all the grades. And this has not been there only once. Actually, for last 2 cycles of National Achievement Survey, Punjab has been ranking number 1 in the country. Right?
Oh.
So that has been really something that we are very proud of. And it also gave us the confidence to move further. And now to, just taking a more recent example from Bihar, because Bihar is typically always seen as one of the most laggard state, poor performing states. And we have been working in the state since 2021. We work with the Department of School Education at the state level to set common priorities, work on diet strengthening. Then we worked on rolling out this whole project-based learning program in 30,000 middle schools of the state. And while that was going on at the state level, at the district level, we had another non-profit in Bhagalpur district, which is one of the biggest districts in Bihar. Where Involve, which is our partner organization to Shikshāgraha, they started working very closely with the DEO and the Diet office and said, how do we make project-based learning more student-led, where students from, say, grade 8 can actually support students from grade 6 in doing these project-based learning. And that has again started to show magical results because students are super excited. As the district office, the DEO and the Diet principal is very happy about getting a support from a local non-profit who is present, who is completely working with them, co-creating the program with them. And suddenly you see that the learning outcomes and the student happiness, so to say, from the school in Bhagalpur are completely at a different level compared to other districts. So these are some very, very heartwarming stories from our field, Shweta.
No, it's wonderful. And especially the result that you told about Punjab, it's so difficult to achieve qualitative outcomes, and doing it in an entire state is amazing. So, Ruchika, do you have any further questions?
I just wanted to know if if you can give a number of how many partners do you have in terms of the non-profit, the NGOs that you're working with.
Right. So, Ruchika, in the last 5 years of our work, because of our belief in collective action, and we always took up this role of an ecosystem builder, we have a partner ecosystem of more than 80 organizations who we always have worked closely with. But as part of ShikshaGraha, as active, like signed in terms of partnership, we have around 18 organizations who are working in these 25 districts as of today.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So yeah, just coming to the end, I'd like to know what are the immediate kind of goals that you have set for yourself? I mean, have you set any specific goals for yourself for the next year, and how are you going about it?
I believe our immediate goal is to reach 100 districts.
Okay.
Correct. Currently, we are in 25.
25.
Our immediate goal is to reach 100 districts, increase our partners across these 100 districts. Also, make it a movement, right? That means everyone has to be involved. It is not about involvement of, Sarkar or Bazaar or Samaj. That is very, very important, right? The common person, we are hoping that people in this 100 village will demand quality education, will work towards quality education, will contribute towards making sure that quality education is delivered for each and every one of their children. That's how you build a movement. So our immediate goal is to have 100 districts where the movement takes grassroots effect.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Khushboo, for joining. And this was a wonderful discussion.